All right, I'm live. I didn't schedule this, so I'll wait for some people to show up. Let's see if I can pin a comment. Oh, I can't. With plate for some people to show up. Let's see if I can pin a comment. Oh, I can't. With places to donate to help with the wildfire relief and helping victims, helping animal life here. I'm going to put in the description links where you can donate to support that. It's not a complete list, but they are organizations that are doing great work right now. And my understanding is they have tons of volunteers. They're overwhelmed with volunteers. What they need is money. And what individuals need is money right now for everything: food, medicine, clothing, shelter, hotels, transportation. I mean, I can't imagine what else. Just everything, plus the costs of being displaced. So I'm going to put in the description a link to several places you can donate to, and I've donated to several of them now, 3 now actually, to be specific. So yeah, so okay. So I'm saving it. So if you go to the description now, you can see different places to donate to. I donated to Cal Fire Donations, Los Angeles Food Bank, and Mutual Aid of LA, which is where you can donate, and the money is dispersed to the many mutual aid organizations in LA. Mutual aid, if you don't know, it's great. It's amazing. It's basically just crap. It's basically just ordinary people, volunteers who give their time and give resources and pool resources together, collect them, whether it's money, food, clothes. They help each other. They'll do DIY like repairs or assist with like fixing your car, things like that. It's basically just people helping people. And so the mutual aid group, it goes to the mutual aid donation page. I put in the description. It goes to a lot of different groups. Actually, I'll link to the groups too, because if you want to see them, I can make them available. What is this? Tab sharing devices? Okay. Not seen. It's been a long time since I went live on my computer. But anyways, for me, I'm unaffected directly by the fires. I'm not going outside today, I don't think. Not because I'm worried about fire around where I live. It's just the air quality is bad. The ash is bad, and also I don't know what like burdens we may be imposing on LA and on our whole like system here, the society we have, by being out needlessly while first responders are utterly overwhelmed and other people need so much. I mean, maybe it's not a bad thing to be out inherently. I just mainly just avoiding it for my health, for because there is ash in the air you can see coming down like flakes, and it gets on your skin, and it's toxic, and it gets in your eyes. And I wear my N95 mask, but it's not. It's well, anyways, you're still exposed to this stuff even with the N95 mask, which is good protection from what I understand. Taco Noodles, hey man. DPDR recovery is going very well. I'm doing the body-based strategy that I've been trained on. Not perfect at it, but you don't have to be perfect. So I'm doing very well. I'm getting better a lot more quickly and trying to set myself up for life to never fall into DPDR again. The fire has me dissociating a bit by looking so much at the news, and I don't want to. And then I get angry and frustrated about how chauvinistic, how foolish we are in terms of what we are conditioned to look at. Thank you, Taco Noodles. Hey, I appreciate that. What we're conditioned to look at as like, oh, that's unacceptable. That aggrieves us. And what is that? It's racially coded. It's class coded. It's meant to insulate capitalist exploiters from scrutiny and criticism. When they make people poor, keep them poor, jail them, put them in brutal conditions, put all of us in brutal conditions where we're working more and more. We're not able to afford time off. We're not able to afford health care. We're not able to afford decent housing. You can't even get your own apartment. If you're a vast majority of people in this country, you can't get around without an expensive car. You can't really find a good job for the most part. You have to work for crap companies that scrape out labor to gouge you, like they scrape you and gouge you for their profits. And meanwhile, who do we blame? Poor people, black people, brown people, immigrants. It's pathetic, it's shameless, and here we are where there's limitless expansion for oil companies, for auto executives, car companies. We don't think enough and talk enough about car companies, how complicit they are in this climate catastrophe and drying. We don't think enough and talk enough about car companies, how complicit they are in this climate catastrophe and drying out the atmosphere through the heating that sucks the moisture out of the land and the atmosphere and captures it, and then it hasn't rained. And you can look up all the climate consequences from that, how it's created these conditions for the wildfires where we haven't gotten rain for the last like 8 months. We barely got touched with it, at least in my neighborhood, my region, like Christmas Eve day. Oh yeah, this I got from a thrift store. It's just I didn't want the message on there, like it's kind of corny. I just wanted a really big mug to make muffins in, like with oatmeal. Getting hot in here. Taco noodles. Yeah, I forgot if you told me or if I knew you had an apartment before. Man, I need a haircut too. I just want it cut to like here. It's just too long. I don't want it like a mane going. But I've saved a ton of money on haircuts. Yeah, you got an apartment. Finally, I know you were homeless for a while, man. Good for you for getting an apartment. Escaping poverty is just pure luck. That's right. It's pure luck. Like, I've been poor. I've been homeless. And I'm doing relatively well now, decently. I mean, all considered, like, it's relative. It depends how you look at it. But I think I'm doing well enough. But I know in the scheme of things, that's all very fragile. That could change. So, yeah, we should be talking about the weaponization of us poor folk. Yeah, exactly. Like, we're taught to hate each other, hate other workers. For what? For being gay, for being trans, for being disabled. Disabled people face so much discrimination. So much of our built infrastructure, our built environment is hostile to the poor, to people with disabilities. We disinvest in neighborhoods, like black and brown neighborhoods, make people poor, keep them poor, and for what? To build freeways, flatten their homes, build freeways out to the suburbs with this limitless expansion. So white people could move out into the suburbs. Black and brown people were banned from getting loans for a long time, and still it's difficult for a lot of people, anyone, to get a home, but it disproportionately affects people of color. And these highways burden our cities with financial liabilities. They're massively expensive. They require a lot to maintain. And then who are they for? You can't walk on a freeway. You can't ride your bike there. You can't skateboard on it. But if you have a $10,000 a year steel capsule on wheels known as a car, this over-engineered piece of junk, you can drive through it, drive through other people's neighborhoods on an urban freeway, pollute their neighborhoods, increase childhood asthma, lung cancer, neurological disease, cardiovascular disease, and get to the comfort of your home. But see, that is made invisible. It's just like, what? It's normal. It's everywhere. You're being like, not like us if you don't work hard enough. You have the wrong mindset to not get out into the suburbs. And this limitless expansion has massive costs. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to think about how mass transportation betters people's lives, and it's an equity issue. And some people think about it, they just don't want that because they know it means poor people would be able to be mobile and be upwardly mobile in terms of being able to save money, to live, like be able to live within their means, but making their means like more abundant. And people with wealth and with means now will be looked down on them as much. A lot of this really is wanting to look down on a lower class of people as those who are undeserving, who it's like, yeah, of course they take the bus. They're just not gifted as I am. They're not as hardworking as I am. They have a different mentality. When the reality is we make society however we want it. We've made it this way. We can unmake it this way. Yeah, you're right, Taco Noodles. You're saying it's a disgusting system we have where you'll never be a homeowner. I probably won't be. I don't even want to be one. Like, I like living in apartments. Maybe I could own an apartment someday, but I don't want to own one without everyone being able to own one. Like, I don't want that world where just I can get by fine and I'm doing relatively well, but everyone else isn't. And now we have these hugely destructive fires, and we're seeing just how like dystopian it is, that like it's destroying so many homes where these people didn't do anything to deserve it, and where like in the not the Altadena one, Pacific Palisades, it's like all the like the money that's there, and it's not all rich people, and not all rich people can afford a second home, and none of them deserve it. I'm not saying anybody should have this happen to them. It's horrible. We can have a better society for everyone where everyone's uplifted. But how dystopian is it that like we're seeing now that, and also Altadena, very, it like sort of middle class from my understanding. I'm not sure last time I've been through there or what, I haven't had a car in like 3 years, so I've not been as mobile. But Altadena is just kind of like middle class or so, and a lot of Black families live there, Black community. And anyways, like these people who are just like living decently. They're not like super wealthy. Some people are super wealthy, and like in the Pacific Palisades, yes, some just bought their first home. Some have been living in a home for 20, 30 years and are just living comfortably. But how dystopian is it that like we develop out and then we're not protected from nature? And I've heard estimates that they went up from like a $50 billion to $100 billion to $150 billion is going to be the cost of this wildfire, multiple wildfires. And yet, the cost and yet we haven't wanted to invest in clean energies and climate resilient cities and mass transportation to reduce the greenhouse gases emitted by cars and trucks. And yet we see now the cost of inaction. It's extraordinarily expensive. It's massively burdensome. It's going to affect the world. Like we have climate refugees here. People are having to evacuate more and more. Like, you may not have heard about this in other parts of the country, but now like Encino and Brentwood are having to evacuate. Still on my specific diet, sort of. I haven't been perfect at it, but I've been pretty good. Oops, burping up a cookie I had last night. Although I will say Laid Cookies in Culver City, this weekend they're donating a portion of their proceeds to something, either firefighter relief or victims of the fires. So I went over there, got a few cookies. I only ate one. It was a seasonal oatmeal cookie. I think I could taste molasses in it. It was quite good. But also I want to give some to other people. We're looking at renting a room in our apartment, and 2 people who have expressed interest have had to evacuate. One from Encino and one from Brentwood. And one of them, they're not sure if their place is going to be around. Like, they're waiting to hear. I'm, by the way, just checking my phone if I get any messages about people who want to see the apartment. But yeah, I'm more or less on the diet. I'm trying to cut right now. So I've been cutting. Thank goodness. When your metabolism gets set right, you just lose weight so quickly when you start dieting right and getting the right nutrients. So I'm still getting a lot of protein, pretty good, a lot of carbs, fats, less so, a little too high because I'm eating lots of almonds and nuts. I love nuts. And like anyway, so I'm losing weight, I'm cutting, and then I want to bulk up again. Bulking's a pain in the ass, actually, because I didn't realize how fucking much you have to eat to bulk. You have to eat, and it messes with your stomach. You freaking have gas, like, you get like indigestion and stuff. Like, so you got to be smart about it, but you have to put on, like, I mean, you have to eat a lot to put on weight, to put on muscle, that is. But thank goodness, at least I know how to eat a good diet now, and I'm pretty disciplined about it. I bought 5 cookies, only ate that one last night. So, like I said, I'm saving the others for people who may come by and see the apartment. And I feel terrible. Like, it feel great in a way that we can offer a place for someone, but I feel terrible that, like, how bullshit is this that it's commodified, that you have to pay all this money for a room and a deposit and utilities, when we can decommodify housing. We can make housing very affordable and freely available, I believe, to many people, if not everyone, if we wanted to. I mean, we're the only species that pays to live, and we can do better than this. But I think we'll get there somehow. I think this disaster capitalism, this gouging and financing of every square inch of our lives is unsustainable. And people will have this consciousness about it where we have to oppose it. People are doing it already in a way. Even red states, like conservative states that say they don't want big government, they've been voting to raise their minimum wage, pushing for more job protections, unions. They realize they want that stuff, and the supposed they're not an opposition party, the Democratic politicians, why won't they run on climate resiliency, on 100% renewable energy, on universal health care? These bullshit artists, because they're wealthy financiers, their donors do not want us, do not want them to run on those things. They will not dare risk offending and alienating their donors. And so you get this buffoon Trump, who absolutely, let's not be surprised that he's calling for taking over Greenland and Mexico and Canada. And then these dopes, these supposed liberals, which liberal is just fascist with a smile. It's basically conservatives who just give a little nudge towards equity and diversity and the opportunity for the poor to climb the economic ladder. And you fill out a bunch of forms. It's like not actual programs to help the poor, but it's like liberals are all about like means testing, like fill out forms. You have to come in person. You have to wait 3 hours to fill out the forms. You have to collect all your documents to do it, wait 6 to 22 weeks, and then get rejected for food stamps or welfare or other assistance. And then if you believe you've been mistakenly rejected, you can go before a judge, which means you have to take time off work or away from your family or go to the other side of town to appeal it. It's all garbage. What did Emily say? We are the only species that pays to live. Unsustainable. Greetings from snowy Chicago suburbs. Hey, awesome. Hey, I love Chicago. I've only been there once. I thought it was beautiful. And I never even, I wasn't even into urbanism back then, but I thought the row houses were beautiful. I was right on this huge lake. I was at the Public Hotel. That's what it's called. The Public Hotel. Beautiful hotel. I was up on the 17th floor. I was just there for like 2 days. But I thought it was beautiful. And now I've become an urbanist. I love like bike lanes, and I bike and car free and metro. And thank goodness, LA, one really good thing we're doing, we are massively expanding the metro system. The A line is being extended from Monrovia to Pomona. It's been constructed. It's 9 miles. I had no idea they were working on that. But now they don't know when it's going to open because they need to test it rigorously. So good for them. They're testing it. We are doing it. It's still not fast enough. Still, things could be so much better. The trains and buses do not run frequently enough because we need to get people out of their cars to stop emitting these greenhouse gases. And what do? We hate on homeless people. We hate on the poor. We sensationalize looting. But who's been looting? Insurance companies, landlords, employers. They've been stealing from you. Retailers, Walmart, Target, CVS, they've been stealing from you. They gatekeep all these things we need behind a paywall, And then we're taught to venerate them as like, oh, see, they made it. They're an American success story. When what they are is exploiters. Like, there are things people need to live. We should provide it for each other free. And if you want more, then you can, but then your job has to actually provide good wages and good working conditions, because they know you're not going to fall homeless if you don't work. They're going to know, hey, you'll still have housing and healthcare and food and transportation. So we can do that. But we venerate, like, just look at advertising. How many ads run on YouTube for stuff like Robinhood, investing, learn how to invest, learn how to make more money, learn how to get more from your settlement, learn how to get money from a timeshare, learn how to flip real estate properties. It's weird. Why do these ads exist? Because there are desperate people whose like goal, whose fixation is to survive and make more money. Because for a lot of these, you won't make money. It's a way for the advertisers, the companies, to make money. Some, maybe you'll make some, but it's endless growth for certain people, the ones who advertise this stuff. But for you, it's really, you're being preyed on for your desperation. So it's like, how much just this infrastructure in our media is wasted on telling people, hey, you're poor, your life is miserable, but you can get rich if you just click on this ad or call this number or join our program, and you'll make it too. How much time is wasted doing that? We could literally just have everything we need to function and be well. There are societies that are much more equitable like that. We still have an embargo on Cuba, like this small island nation. Meanwhile, they have a universal health care. They have much better systems of mutual aid. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but so much of the poverty they go through is because of US sanctions, because we are scared to death of leftists running countries better than we do and not giving over their resources to us. Dave Ramsey, yeah, he really is. He's a scumbag, and he justified. I remember he said how he doesn't feel responsible for people going homeless because that's just market conditions. What is this market? This market that just floats off your body and it's just separate from you. See, I didn't do that. That's the market there, and let me reap the rewards of the market for me. But I didn't do that. That's just, if you can't afford a home, that's just the market. Yeah, Dave Ramsey is he's a great propagandist for insulated people and people who are taught like to venerate money and wealth, which is how I was for a long time too. I was a conservative, and then I was a libertarian, where I literally believed it was like making money was like equivalent to virtue. And that shows how brainwashed I was. It was a good transition for me in that I started to question more things we considered fundamental, and things like war and drug policies. But I also adopted a lot of like just foolish, shameless views about exploitation and stuff, where I just believed in basically markets everywhere, corporatocracy gouging everybody. But I didn't support like corporations as they existed. So it was like good to learn to question fundamentals. But yeah, I was intoxicated by this idea that like I'll be one of these rich people too. Oh, and by the way, we got 6 people here. Click like, everybody. Helps the channel out, and I hope it helps other people to hear this stuff. So I'll give a personal update after I drink my tea. So I live in Palms, LA. I usually just say West LA. People don't know where Palms is if you're not from here. And people mistakenly, they often hear Palms and think Palm Springs. This is not Palm Springs. Palm Springs is, I don't know how many miles east of here, 70 miles, 100 miles. Palms is just a neighborhood in LA. It's kind of south. It's actually not far south of Beverly Hills. I can walk to Beverly Hills. It's by Mid-City. It's by West LA. And so the fires aren't here, but the air quality is bad. I can see the ash out in the air. I have my air filter purifier. You can see the corner of it running there. I wear my N95 mask out wherever I go now. I wear it all day, even though it's a pain in the ass, because I want to protect my lungs. You literally see the ash in the air. Some of it like landed in my eye yesterday. I came home and washed my face. So it's affecting all of us, and it's more than just the air quality. It's displacing wildlife, displacing people. Like, who knows how we'll be impacted long term by all of this, and also the ugly reactionary forces against people, against the movement for a healthier climate, for livable communities, by people who just want to double down in anger. They're just angry. They're angry at people like me. They're angry at uh, ordinary, like, liberal Democrats, which I am not a liberal. uh, I don't like, I never like to call myself anything, because I'm like, there's so many different types of any group, and I'm not sure like, you can't just say I fit into any of them. But often when I hear leftist policies, progressive policies, socialist policies, communist policies and ideas, I agree with those. But there are socialists who don't care about, or who are like, are against trans rights, or progressives who are against racial equality. And all these things are inherent in capitalism. It's great for the owner class to get workers to hate each other based on their sexual orientation, their gender identity, their race, their ethnicity, their language, where they're from, their religion, their disability status. It's great for them, because then the workers are constantly at competition with each other. They're taught to hate the poor and to blame the poor for what the wealthy are doing to them. And so we don't have the infrastructure in place to help people. We're like scraping together a system to get aid to people who need it. People are coming out in droves to volunteer and donate. And what I'm hearing, both from people I know and elsewhere online, is that the donation centers and places that are giving aid don't need more volunteers necessarily. I'm not sure if that's the case everywhere. And also, it takes a while in some places to train to be a volunteer. And they're also overwhelmed with supplies. And the struggle for them is distributing them. And it's also, the struggle is financial. People need money right now. So again, I just donated I donated to a fellow skater who was picking up pizza and sports drinks for firefighters in Santa Monica, and he drove like a truckload of them out there. And him and other skaters have been taking their trucks and going out there, but even they have to check with the fire chief or the firefighters and check, should we come out and bring you stuff? Like, there certain times they have all the food and drinks they need, but also, like, is it safe the route you're going? Like, are you gonna potentially impede an evacuation? So you have to check before you bring supplies. But they did that, and then I donated to California Fire Foundation, LA Food Bank, and then LA Mutual Aid, which distributes the money to many mutual aid groups in LA. So, man, everybody needs help right now. And like, who knows what kind of, like, how society's going to function after this, what kind of policies we'll get, especially with like the ugly, chauvinistic, capitalistic, reactionary forces that want to double down in hatred and lash out at climate activists, at minorities, trans people, queer people, Black and brown people, immigrants, poor people, because they believe these people are the ones responsible for this fire, for installing unqualified people of color and women into positions of power that made bad decisions that caused this fire, and that it's just a personal decision. Like, all leadership comes down to is whether that particular leader is good or not. There's plenty of blame to go to at our political leaders at Democrats, including Joe Biden, including Gavin Newsom, who expanded oil drilling here, including Karen Bass, who ran on expanding police funding. And it's weird. If you run on safety, why aren't you running on things like universal health care? What are the healthcare costs going to be for this long term, as well as short term? On housing, which Karen Bass, it seems like she's good enough on housing. Like, she did declare a homeless state of emergency and has been pushing for a lot of social housing here. But she increased police funding, and the police just get a blank check for money they need. And we cry and scream about it when like one cop is like when the police force lose one police officer because we're not funding them. That's what happened in West Hollywood. it's like a city within Los Angeles. But firefighters, they had like $17 million cut from their budget. So it's like, is it about safety? If it's about safety, you don't need the police. Police don't make us safer. You need mass transportation, public transportation, because 336 people died in traffic crashes in 2023 in LA. Pedestrians were killed. It's the number one killer of kids in LA. Police aren't stopping that. You don't stop that with police power. You stop that with mass transportation and road diets and driving restrictions, and also making it easy, convenient, safe, and reliable to get around without a car. We could do that. The city and Karen Bass consistently oppose. Now the city is big. It's city and Karen Bass consistently oppose. Now the city is big. It's mixed. Like there's a lot of different city councils here that some support. Like some support active mobility and transit more than others. But LA has so LA is doing great in many ways. Bike lanes have slowed down, like the new installation of bike lanes has slowed down greatly. And it's shameless because Caltrans, California Transportation Authority, and City of LA, like they're supposed to be building bike lanes. It's in the mobility plan from 2015. We're supposed to be on the path to Vision Zero, which means zero traffic deaths. We're not going there. And Karen Bass is responsible for a lot of that. She has been negligent. She hasn't been supporting these measures. Gavin Newsom has supported some, like signed some active transportation measures, but opposed others, and opposed measures that would make the roads more safe, like speed governors on cars. So they absolutely deserve blame. But they're products of a system that gave us, if not them, it's just going to give us someone else like this. But who else? Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a horrible, horrible president for California and governor here. He cut public transportation funds. And as president, he cut public transportation funds. So our first metro line became a light rail line instead of heavy rail, which goes faster, but it required more money and it has more capacity. Have I ever thought of starting a worker-owned business? I mean, not seriously. I've like thought about it, and just that I've entertained the idea. But and I would like any film set I be on to be as equitable as possible and democratic as possible. And I think, by the way, a film set works best that way. It does not work best like dictatorially. You need people to. People like just have this image of directors as like being like disconnected from reality and just giving orders, like, and the actors are just there to do what you say. And a lot of people will just do whatever you say on a set if you're like competent enough and kind enough. But I think it's even better. Like people, I've been on plenty of film sets. People get distracted. They get their own ideas what to do. Like they have their own little agendas. That doesn't mean a bad thing, but it means you have to keep people plugged into your vision. And it's best to do that democratically. And it's also good to do that if you pay them well and give them good protections and benefits. So personally, I don't want to, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what the future will hold? Right now, I'm still writing my scripts and trying to make my own movies. Boy, I ranted a lot, but I did good. I talk good. I didn't sleep great. I got up, woke up at 2 a.m. I should have went back to sleep instead. I'm looking at my phone on the news about the fires. But a little grounding myself, deep breathing, relaxing all my muscles. I'll try and take a nap today. And writing is going very well and all. And just, like I want to encourage people, like, let's take the mentality of we're all in this together, and let's not just have to scrape together support for each other, but have an integrated system of public health care. Part of the reason we don't have safe streets and mass transportation is because we don't have universal health care, because the costs and the higher taxes we would pay in universal health care, which a lot of that would be burdened by the very wealthy, those we don't really directly experience. Like we experience them in many ways in our system. We pay more for healthcare than any other country in the world, But we mistakenly assume universal healthcare would be too expensive. But universal healthcare, if we had our current traffic system where we have 42,000 deaths a year in this country, I don't know how many, like 100,000 injuries from car crashes, maybe more. That would be it would be a lot more galvanizing against our car-centric infrastructure and against freeways cutting through cities and high-speed boulevards through our neighborhoods, because it makes so much more apparent the cost to governments, the burden of car-centric infrastructure. But the car industry can get away with this because who bears the cost? Well, they're just kind of spread out everywhere. Or like, you're fucked if you get in a car crash and now you have to miss work and go to rehab, and your employer discriminates against you and it fires you, and you have other conditions that you can't insure or that your insurance company won't pay for. That's if you have health insurance. I don't know what started these fires. Taco noodles. It could be spark from a cigarette. Could be a transformer blowing out on a telephone pole. It could have been with the Santa Ana winds, wind gusts blowing over a tree and knocking down a power line, causing sparks to burst from the power line. Could have been arson. Could be a vehicle fire. Like, who knows? I don't know. And people, an investigation is being done. I don't understand how they can find out. I mean, I guess they're finding out the way anyone else could: ask questions and get tips from the public. What do I think if Canada becomes part of the U.S.? Sorry for Canada. That's another idiotic thing I saw on CNN. Van Jones and these other dopes, this supposed liberal network, like an excited puppy, when they talked about Trump wanting to take over Mexico. Well, they were talking about Canada specifically. Like, Van Jones is like, oh boy, that would be exciting. Like, think about it. What's the problem? That would be another blue state. It's like, how embarrassing to not see how you look lined up in history with all the other bootlicking capitalists who support colonization of other countries. What does colonization look like, you dumbass? It looks like people like you, insulated, wealthy, massively wealthy, on TV saying, oh, this is exciting. Trump talked about taking, yeah, why not? It's just intoxicating to you. You're not reflecting on how stupid you look. And there was another guy on there too, talking about Greenland, taking over Greenland, saying how they have a lot of resources there. Oh, so colonization and expanding empire for resources. What is that? What does that look like? Has anyone ever done that before? Is that a good idea? Does that mean we'll actually be better off and the people we colonize will be better off? We've already colonized so much. We're destroying ourselves. Thanks, Taco Noodles. I really appreciate that, for saying I'm speaking the truth. Thank you. I'm always trying to learn and understand better what we're looking at. So thank you. Do I feel we will ever have free healthcare? I mean, it's just a wild guess about the future, but yes, I do. Why? I just think this is unsustainable. We are destroying people. We're like a fire, basically. Our capitalist ideology. It burns it burns its own, it's almost like it consumes itself for fuel. We poison ourselves. We burn ourselves for fuel to power this capitalist economy, and teach ourselves that this is a worthy sacrifice for wealth and capitalism. And we're seeing with wealthy in the Palisades, it doesn't even insulate them and protect them. And I'm not blaming them at all. There are a lot of good people living there, and a lot of people, and everybody, nobody deserves that. I was going to say a lot of people don't deserve it. Nobody deserves it. Deserves to have their neighborhood burned down and their house burned down. We have, if there's a problem with anybody and their views, this is not the answer. The answer is, let's uplift everybody. Let's make everyone better off, because even the bootlickers and the capitalists will be happy and much better off when they have free healthcare, when they have safe streets, when they don't have to have a car to get around, when they can experience the joy of biking and being connected in their cities, of buses that run every 2 to 3 minutes, of trains that run every 2 to 3 minutes. Jay asked, what do I think of Mexican firefighters helping suffocate the fire? Um, well, I hesitate to say anything's great because this is a terrible situation, but it's great that they're helping. I hope it's just all for the best and it all helps. When I say like I hope it is, I just don't want it to be used as like a weapon against California or Mexico, like because there's a lot of racism in this country and nationalism. That's where people believe, oh, you're bringing Mexicans here to help us. Well, like you're a failure because somehow Mexicans are lesser than us. Absolute nonsense. And we're horrible with it. And by the way, talk about colonization. We took Texas from Mexico. And Mexico, at least Mexico City, has great transit. By the way, I know somebody just went there. He's like, they have a rapid bus system that runs every 2 to 3 minutes, lots of bike lanes. They have a good metro system. Every Sunday, they close down like 35 miles of streets to have open streets so the cars can't drive on them. It makes people come out into the streets. It's joyous. We have a lot we could learn from Mexico and a lot we could stop doing to harm them with our ridiculous drug war. And even the xenophobes, they don't want Mexicans to stop coming here. They want Mexicans to be easily exploitable, cheap labor who are always under threat of deportation. So therefore, you can pay them less than you could an American. You can treat them poorly. So much of that poor treatment involves sexual exploitation because that kind of system attracts abusers and exploiters. Poverty means people will be preyed on for their weakness, for their lack of a voice, because if you speak up, you risk deportation. You risk being caged. And that's not even just the situation with immigrants. That's right here in America. So much of exploitation of people's bodies is based around poverty, of landlords exploiting tenants, of people who I see posts on Craigslist, guys who want to move in a girlfriend for free. Disgusting. And they're counting on somebody desperate enough to take them up on that. And in the workplace, people not speaking up against sexual harassment. I went through this. I don't even want to get personal about it. I've talked about it so much. I wasn't even thinking about this. I went through that for 6 months at my job in the film industry. It was hell. And I spoke up and, oh, did I pay dearly for it? I fucking paid dearly with retaliation, with chauvinism, with this arrogance and fear from my employers who basically isolated me and treated me like I was dangerous and like I was a threat. And the threat was I would speak out against it. That's how much they hate it. And the whole time they're talking to you like they're your friend. They're like, we care about you. We just want you to be comfortable. And I saw all the way through. I'm like, then why are you doing all this shit to me? Posse Cool Stick, I don't know about your question. Like, what happens if the actors leave California if they can't rebuild? I mean, I don't think they're all going to leave. But a lot of actors, by the way, are not rich. The vast majority are not rich. A lot of people who have had their homes burned down aren't rich. And rich people don't deserve this. Like, we have to make a better system where everyone has a healthy community and a climate resilient city. We're dealing with the effects of climate change. And we need politicians and leaders who actually run on renewable energy and livable communities and climate resiliency. We have some good ones here. Nithya Raman, her rhetoric and her action has been really good on this. She's, I think, city council. Well, she's a city council person, but I believe her area is like Silver Lake primarily. And she's been really good about it, about her proposals for water retention. She's been talking about this for years. But other people, not so much. They don't care. In Culver City, boy, those conservative city council members really screwed us with their chauvinism, their climate denial, their denial of the need for safe streets. They ripped out bike lanes through downtown, where now one person has died. They died on Black Friday in a car crash with a motorcyclist. The motorcyclist died. Another person died just off the downtown, 1 block south of it, about like 2 blocks away from where the motorcyclist died. There, a pedestrian hit by a car on December 20th. 2 people were injured, struck by a drunk driver in the downtown. These are all, well, except for the one person I said was just south of the downtown. And there was a bicyclist. I witnessed him get in a hit and run, hit by a car that just drove away. And I went over and helped him and got his number, and I texted him a lawyer's info, and I said, make sure you go to a lawyer about this. This is what happens when you build out car-centric infrastructure, is people drive who should not be driving. You have unsafe driving conditions, and people get hurt and killed. And since the bike lanes have been ripped out and combined with the bus lanes, and an additional private vehicle lane has been added to the downtown of Culver City, 2 people have been killed in car crashes. 1 person you had to hit and run. 2 people were injured in the DUI. And I think there may have been more crashes too, because I've seen like debris from cars and glass and stuff at an intersection in the downtown on that bike bus route. And also it's contributing to climate change. Everyone wants to make someone else deal with a climate catastrophe. Although the conservatives there, I believe, they don't care. They don't think it's a climate issue at all, and their constituents certainly don't. But I don't know what this world is going to look like after this. And we're going to expect more fires. Maybe not next year, but in 5 years, 10 years. Like, I mean, there are fires probably every year, I think, in California. I don't follow them that closely. But as far as big, huge, massive ones like this, we can expect them more and more often. It's like, well, what kind of place is this going to be that continually poisons us? And that's if we're not directly in the fire path. The path of the fire does poison people, but then it also destroys their homes, communities, cars. It destroys their businesses, their schools. So yeah, what will be left, and how will we rebuild? And are we going to get policies from chauvinists who hate climate activists and who hate minorities and want to double down and just lash out in anger? They just want to inflict pain and intoxicate themselves on their own self-righteousness, because they take in images saying that in media saying that narcissists who just focus on their own identity work their way into the, like, got promoted over qualified white straight males to work in the California government and the fire department. And they actually believe this nonsense. Like, they're brainwashed, but they don't believe they're brainwashed. And they're so angry, and they just lash out. And we've seen how they've lashed out. They elected Trump, and the Democrats had just a bad candidate, 2 bad candidates: Joe Biden, who's trash, and Kamala Harris, who's just bullshit, just nothing, just plain old vanilla centrism of just, we're decent. Let's fight for decency. And decency includes, we're not going to offend and alienate our wealthy donors. We're not going to fight for more labor protections. We're not going to run for universal health care. Taco noodles. I got away from your question. Do I think we'll have free healthcare in this country? Eventually, yes. Or I did answer it. Yeah, because I think what we have is unsustainable. And America does have a lot of history of socialism in this country, and socialist activism and uprisings. This is not the first time we've dealt with extreme class inequality. And we just pretend we don't have a socialist history where communists fought, for instance, in the North in the Civil War. Karl Marx wrote a letter to Abraham Lincoln praising him. Not that Abraham Lincoln was a communist, but certainly the idea of abolishing slavery is very much it very much coincides, or is a communist ideal. But yeah, a lot of chauvinists are very angry and just want to inflict pain, and they don't care about this. Like, they have plenty of excuses for why these wildfires don't care, and why there's no reason to reflect on how we affect our climate, and on transportation, and our military, all in our stupid wars, and funding and arming Israel in their stupid, heinous war to basically eradicate and enslave Palestinians. And Israel gets a blank check to do that. And meanwhile, here we have to scrounge together resources to help ourselves. We pay taxes, but those taxes go out to the military and defense contractors and oil subsidies and car subsidies. These are the big welfare queens. So I hope we get the class solidarity and consciousness to realize, yeah, we are all in this together. Like, this is unsustainable. We can't rely on each person to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in their own healthcare costs. We need to bring them down through, let's have a system like England and make it and defunding theirs, where the health service is nationalized, meaning doctors and pharmacists, they're government employees, and national makes for single payer healthcare. So negotiate down our prices, put more money into research, and let's have better health outcomes for everybody. We can have that. Once you have it, people love it. 15-minute cities would still mean you would need cars and planes and trains. Some places are too far to travel by any other means, or they're across the ocean. But trains are part of 15-minute cities. It means you can get somewhere within 15 minutes, or like you get somewhere within 15 minutes because you have a dense city, but also good transit. And cars are good for certain things and certain trips that just can't be made by transit. You'll still have always places that can't be directly accessed by transit. And also they're just good for things like certain deliveries, road trips. So it's not that you wouldn't need cars, but we would be at a point where far fewer people would drive because they wouldn't want to, because you don't need them. Getting around without a car would be great, but getting around with a car would be great too, because it means the people who drive are actually people who should be driving and not people who have to, which includes people who shouldn't be because they're not safe drivers. They're tired, they're drunk, they're high. They just don't, some people are just not well suited to driving. They're not coordinated enough to drive. That's not anything against them. That's not a bad thing about them. Some people, due to age, they can't drive, or they're too young to drive. So yeah, cars are a fine way to get around, but it's the whole system we've created that's bad. And also, like, we should have labels on the sides of cars like we do on cigarette packets that warn of all the dangers of cars. These cause deaths, these cause emphysema and cancer, neurological disease. These impoverish you, warning, like you will lose on average this much money a year due to your car. These burden cities this much. So many tires get thrown into the ocean. We're polluting the environment and the water and the soil with the particulates and the waste from cars and emissions. I gotta use the bathroom. also ate an orange. So I have in the description, again, I have links where you can donate to victims of the wildfires, evacuees, and also the firefighters themselves. I've donated to a few, and I also donated to what was it? A guy I know, a skater who was collecting supplies for the firefighters because they were running low in Santa Monica. I mean, supplies, food and drinks, sports drinks, because the firefighters were running out, and he loaded up a truck full of like pizzas and sports drinks. And that's really cool. And he was doing it smart, from what I understand. He was like checking with the captain there or something and trying to see, like, is it safe to go there? And do they actually need supplies? So he and then some other skaters were doing that, getting their vehicles to drive over and do that. So by the way, vehicles are good for stuff like that, like trips you need to make to specific destinations. And just that, as we've seen also from our overbuilt car infrastructure, people tried to evacuate and traffic was so backed up they had to abandon their cars. And then the fire department had to get a bulldozer and bulldoze cars out off the road in order to get emergency vehicles through. So how do cars equate to freedom in that case? They don't. The roads have a certain capacity. That's it. And once you go beyond that, you get traffic jams. Well, it's not just once you go beyond that. You get traffic jams even before you get to capacity, just the nature of how much space cars take up and how people drive, where you can see like phantom traffic jams, demonstrations of that, how if you just have enough cars, if people start tailgating, like one after another, they start creating a traffic jam. And then as they leave that sort of traffic jam zone and they all speed up, they're not going the same speed and they're not leaving enough safe following distance. And so they create traffic jams when the road is not even at capacity. Excuse me. That's a good orange. But anyways, right now I'm in Palms, basically the west side of LA. Excuse me. And the fire's not here. The Pacific Palisades fire, I mean, Palisades, it's like a region. It's not just one point in the fire there, but it's about roughly like 12, 14 miles away from here. I can walk outside and just see the smoke from it. And it depends how the wind's carrying it. Sometimes it's more dense and sometimes it's more diffuse through the sky. I wonder if I can see it now. I can't see it out my window. But going outside yesterday, and I always wear my N95 out now, you see the ash floating around in the air. And that's toxic. And it gets on my skin and in my eyes and stuff. I washed my face when I got home. I don't think I'm going out today. And I'm trying to limit when I'm going out because I don't think this fire is going to be out. These fires are going to be out even this week. So we can see the Palisades fire, the smoke that is, from where I am in Palms. And then the Eaton fire, that's the one that's northeast. The Altadena, it's in Altadena and getting close to Pasadena, I believe. That one I can't see. But anyway, that's burning really badly too. I forget the specifics of which one is burning more badly now. I think it's the Eaton fire. I'm not sure. But they're both massive, and I'm not sure they're going to be contained. When they say like 10% contained or whatever it is, what I heard explained is that on the news, that just means that the firefighters were able to create some kind of perimeter that has limited where the fire can go. So like 10% of it is like blocked off from spreading. And let's see, I may have gotten a message from, let's see who I got this from. Oh, okay. I just checked. Okay, good to know. Personal message with someone. What was I saying? Anyways, so yeah, right now we're just affected in terms of the smoke, the air quality. The metro is free because so many kiosks where you buy metro cards, they're called tap cards here, are out of power. And so that would, for it's partly it's unfair to make some people pay, not others, but also people need to get around. But also the police will check sometimes. They'll scan your tap card to see if you've. They'll go on a train or be at the exit of a platform. Oh, including at Santa Monica and I think North Hollywood, you have to tap to exit. Now they've been doing that to try and reduce fare jumpers and or turnstile jumper fare hoppers. But you can't do that if the station you went to doesn't have tap card or doesn't have kiosks where you can buy Metro cards. So it's running free through tomorrow. The Metro is, and yeah, that would be really unfair. And also, I think it's a good idea to just make it free. All right, Posse Cool Stick, thanks for watching. Posse Cool Stick has got to go. Just got to send a message here real quick. But the other way it's sort of just affected and not like harming us is a lot of businesses around here are like sending some of their proceeds to victims of the wildfires and firefighters themselves. And they're accepting donations, or they're setting up little community centers for people. They're giving free drinks to firefighters and first responders, or discount meals, or they're sending meals out. I wish we were like that more often, where we're supporting each other like that. I understand it's a good thing now that we're doing this in a crisis, but we're in a slow-moving crisis that's always underway. And yeah, it was chauvinism and greed and stupidity that led us to here. And mainly right now, I'm thinking of Gavin Newsom expanding oil drilling. But I mean, it's not just that. Obviously, this is a worldwide problem of capitalism. And Karen Bass, intoxicated by the idea of more police for safety. And more police doesn't mean more safety. More safety means more safety. That means a safer environment, climate resilient city, better transportation. She is just stonewalling some of that stuff. Shame on her. That is absolute garbage. And the Democrats are supposed to be the opposition party. They're fucking running on what Republicans do. They just give a few winks and nods to diversity and to equity. And okay, to be fair, it's a little more than that they give. Like Karen Bass is, like I said, she seems like relatively good on trying to house homeless people and create affordable housing. But she's also just garbage on a lot of things about bike lanes and active transportation. And why the fuck are the police getting paid more? Police salaries are way higher than metro and bus operators, even though metro and bus operators jobs, I would want to see the breakdown of statistics before definitively saying it, but I'll go ahead and guess that they're more dangerous than what the police do. If not, hey, so be it. I stand corrected. But they're definitely harrowing jobs, difficult, challenging. You're dealing with the public and the public's needs a lot. And you're doing a massive service with a huge amount of responsibility, and they're underpaid. Metro and bus operators still need to live far away from where they work because they can't afford to live close to their jobs. What the hell is that? Like, shame on you, Karen Bass, for not treating like safety like an actual matter of safety. Instead, what you're saying safety is more police, more armed people, more military style weaponry for the police. But when it comes to actual safety that doesn't involve a police response, hey, whoa. I said we wanted to be safe. I didn't want to say we want people to be safe, like safe, not like that, you know? Anyways, is there anything more to say? I don't know what else to say. I want to eat something soon and get back to my writing and chill, calm down. I'm probably just staying inside today. I guess I'll get going. So thanks for watching, everybody. Click like. So in the description, again, there are links where you can donate to support victims of the fires and first responders. If you can't donate, it's totally understandable because a lot of people are struggling right now. And even if you're not struggling, you don't know if you're going to have some calamity or disaster that's going to require all your savings. But if you can't donate, that's fine either way. Click like on the video. If you could click like, that'll just help spread the reach of the video. And that will hopefully get more people to see the links in the description and more donations there. Again, what I've heard is that organizations are overwhelmed with volunteers and supplies, which is great. People are being generous. They want to help. What they need is money. And what the individual, not just they, the organizations, but what people struggling need is money. And so you can help out with the links in the description. Scottslis, cool, man. I don't know if I've seen you here before, but I'm glad you know my mom. Yeah, Scottslis says, hi, your mom. Thanks, man. I talk to my mom a lot. She's doing great. She's kind of like tendonitis behind her knee. She's getting some physical therapy for that, but she's good. Thankfully, she's otherwise healthy and fit. And yeah, I want to get her out here at some point to visit. And I don't know what the future holds. Is like as far as I wanted to live here, like I wanted to keep her home in Virginia. But what's LA going to be like in the future? How sustainable will life be here? I love this city. I think it's great. It's the greatest city in the world to me, even though there are so many greater things about other cities, their mass transportation, their food distribution, etc. But we can do all that. We can have all that. We have so much potential for that. We have such great people and generous people here, but we're being ground down into thinking each other is the enemy, and that if we can just exploit others and get on top ourselves, then that's a success story. We think that wealth equals somehow like virtue or goodness. And anyway, it's just nature is a great equalizer now. And nobody deserves to have their house burned down. So it sounds like I'm saying something derogatory about the people in the Palisades. I am not. A lot of people, I'm absolutely certain, are very good people there. I've met people, in the film industry who are relatively successful and stuff, who are great and generous. It's not them themselves. It's this system we have that burdens and impoverishes people and teaches us, hey, you make it to the top, like finally that's success. And now we're seeing like, oh, even wealth and I don't know what wealth and having your needs met and stuff doesn't protect you from this global catastrophe of bad leadership, capitalism, and global climate change. And that should be a reason we want to help everyone, so nobody has to deal with that. I'm not saying anything against inherently any wealthy person for that. I think we should all have wealth, but wealth means something different from what we have now, where it means exploitation of someone. We should all have our needs met. And then if you want to have extra from there, have at it. Like until then, no more billionaires. No billionaires, period. The limit should be like $20 million until everybody gets housed. Then everyone has their needs met and can live well, and they can follow their passions or just live comfortably, even if they don't want to pursue any dreams. Then, okay, some people can get more rich. Until then, we shouldn't have that. It's absolutely absurd. It's like sacrificing people, like tossing them into a fire to satiate this god of profits and capitalism, when profit is just financing every sector of our lives and draining us of our dignity. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to get going. Going to get eaten here. Everybody eat well, be healthy. Look at the links to donate. If you can't donate, perfectly fine. If you could, click like, because that'll read this video and more people will see the links in the description, and hopefully they'll hear this message and share their stories and have a little more solidarity with each other. So we end this unsustainable, other sort of so-called endless expansion of exploitation of the environment and workers. and we get a healthy, humane, joyous city and a healthy, happy society where everybody can live in dignity and where we're protected from these climate events, and we can start to turn the clock sort of on this climate catastrophe and make for a healthier climate for everyone. All right, everybody, thanks for watching.